MLR elimination matches in the playoffs. New York getting a win over ATL away from home, pretty solid. And then the Seawolves and San Diego, these teams who weren't even supposed to be in at this stage of the season, but with the disqualification of the Gilgronis and the Giltinis, well, the Seawolves certainly took their opportunity, didn't they? We'll go through some key events and thoughts, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on these games if you've seen them. The first one, New York over ATL. Is that New York's first time to get a win in the playoffs? Either way, pretty good win. It really felt like a playoffs game. This one, like there wasn't any try scoring until the second half. It was very tentative. That's often what playoff rugby is about, right? It's about taking those opportunities, keeping the scoreboard ticking over, and that's what worked for the New York boys in this one. Connor Cook though was yellow carded for a deliberate knock-on as Waisake Naholo was making a big old break early on for New York. So that wasn't the ideal start for the ATL boys, especially at home. But New York only ended up getting 3 points from it initially with a high tackle, and then Emery with a long-range one on like 19 minutes. So, yeah, like 6-0 after a scrum penalty. Like not too bad for ATL, considering that it had an early yellow card and a bit of pressure down their own end. It was 9-0 when they were slowing the ball down. So the ATL boys didn't get on the board until like well after half an hour, and it was kind of frustrating to watch because they just kept getting turned over in the New York end. It was like I said, it was pretty frustrating. But 34 minutes, ATL did get on the board. Penalty. My note there is it's a real playoff game because the halftime score is 6-9. Like, yeah, it's an arm wrestle. It's not one where they're cutting each other to bits and just kind of scoring tries for fun. That being said, there was a penalty try to New York on 45 minutes. That was the maul. Weirdly enough, no yellow card. I can't remember the last time I saw a maul penalty try and the offending team didn't get yellow carded. The ref just basically said, I don't know which number did it. You want me to pick one? And like, yeah, you need to pick one. There's that thing? I don't know. It's bizarre. But I mean, New York will certainly take the points. That puts them up by 10 points, 16-6. But then down the other end, a few minutes later, when ATL got their maul going, remember that's been their major weapon this year. New York are trying to defend it, and the second time they bring it down, there's no penalty try, but they do get the yellow card. So it's kind of like one gets one gets the other. It's a bizarre situation. So the ATL boys, I mean, Saveta's the guy who gets the yellow card. The ATL boys try the maul again and again. They can't get any joy from it. And eventually, after a massive period, like I would say the majority of that yellow card period down the New York end, they eventually just kind of opt for the 3. But they can't get through this New York defense. So it's 16 points to 16 points to 9, and then not long after that the yellow card's over. So for all that effort, they come away with 3 points, which is I guess a wee bit frustrating. That being said, on 65 they get another one, so it's 16-12. That's a 4-point game, properly game on. Like if they can get one try, even unconverted, they will be in front. But the game kind of goes away from ATL, and New York drive it home in the final 10. They get one through Fawcett on 73 minutes. And I put that's pretty much game over because it's 23-12 and then a penalty right before full time, so 26-12. That being said, I mean, credit to the ATL guys. The game's dead. They're done. The season's over, but they kept fighting. And Coleman went over on 80 minutes, which is maybe bad news for the New York boys because I think they had a chance to kick it out. I'm not mistaken, one of their props just kicked it down the field when the clock was already in the red. And Fidel took a knock at the breakdown. So if he's out injured for next week's game against the Free Jacks, that will be pretty disappointing to get him injured in the extra time, which only saw ATL score a try. So, but as I said, credit to the ATL guys. They gave their fans one last thing to cheer about before they finished their season. New York ended up maybe picking up an injury, but still, New York to get a win away from home and, compete in that Eastern Conference final. Pretty impressive stuff. They got a pretty good squad this season. Not been entirely consistent, but they've still been a pretty fun team to watch. So 26-19, pretty close at the end. But remember, New York had it they had it done before that final try. The Seawolves in San Diego, this one's a wee bit more lopsided. I've only seen the highlights of this one, but yeah, it seems pretty relentless from the Seawolves boys. I mean, the San Diego guys did get the try to Augsburger pretty quickly, like within 2 minutes. Both these games, like that one was a yellow card, this one's a try within, a couple of minutes. So it's a flying start, 7-0. But man, Alatimu with his boot was just in phenomenal form for this game, seemingly. They hit back with a penalty, then a maul, so it goes from 7-0 to 7-3 to 10-7, and it's after a 50-22. I believe Alatimu kicked that one as well. So San Diego are in front. They extended with another penalty, 13-7. And then Matthews gets a try from a really wide ball, so it makes it 20 points to 7. So the Seawolves have gone from being 7-0 down to just relentlessly scoring at a point a minute. That's pretty crazy. A much needed try through Tamilau on 28 minutes at least makes it back to game on, 20 points to 14, and kind of stop that big momentum shift from the Seawolves boys. And yeah, at least it's kind of, half time. That's a game on. Not that you would know it really in the second half. The Seawolves do get a yellow card through Hatting for a high tackle, but they're still able to extend their lead through that man. Alatimu is having a cracking season. They get a try through Larson. It's one which is right under the stick, so not even needs to kick the conversion. 33-14. At that point, I wrote game over. Ross Neal's one makes it more emphatic, but I mean, San Diego get a consolation one on 80 minutes, but that's their only points of the second half. Kind of like ATL, they score at the death when there was nothing really doing. So man, like Seattle, if they can play like that against Houston, they will certainly back themselves to get a win, because that was a really impressive performance. They bounced back really quickly from going down early, and if Alatimu can create tries and kick penalties like that in playoff rugby, that's kind of what it's all about. So yeah, interesting to see Emery taking the kicks for New York. We'll see if he does so in the game against the Free Jacks. Remember, the Free Jacks and Houston have had a week off, so they should be really well rested and prepared for this next game. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on these games. Who are you picking for the Western and Eastern Conference finals? Are you picking a Free Jacks Houston final? The Free Jacks, I think at this point, are still kind of massive favourites, especially with the Giltinis and Gilgronis being out. But they've still got to get through 2 more games if they are going to get there. The first one being New York, so they can't be taking that one lightly. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts, and yes, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.